to Rapid Fire Insights, where velocity meets curiosity. I'm your host, Dave McCall. This is my co-host, Chris Hanna.
Hello, hello. I am excited for this conversation today. I think we're gonna have a good talk here. I'm looking forward to this one.
Oh, absolutely. Today's guest is Christian Saab. Christian is the founder of CPG Recruitment, and employment nowadays is a huge topic, both for the employees and those looking for work, and for companies. I mean, everybody, and we read it all the time. Everybody's going, I need people. I can't keep people. What's going on? So I think Christian is the perfect person to talk to about this one.
Yeah, and I think a lot of businesses need to understand like your most important asset is really your people, and finding great people is important. Retaining them is obviously very important as well. And so let's bring Christian on. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about again finding great people.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, no,
Oh,
it's never ending what I keep hearing as far as finding good people. So no, I appreciate you guys having me on the platform to talk about it.
so here's a quick question. I mean, you're a small company, big company, whatever company. You're looking for people. They can't seem to hold on to them. Um, is it the culture? Is it the time frame? Like just after COVID? What do you think it is that people are having trouble retaining?
Well, yeah, let's break up that question a little bit. Let's separate retaining staff from finding staff. Maybe why don't we start from the beginning of first you got to find them, then you got to keep them, right? So maybe we
Yeah.
could start the time frame there. So
Sure.
as far as the comment of I could never find good people, right? Or I can't find, I can't find anyone that lasts a week or whatever it may be, or if 1,000 people apply and none of them seem to qualify, like those common complaints that we see with businesses across the board, whether it's a small business with a handful of employees all the way to 10,000 employees, they all have the same issue. Now, what I've found is that everybody's doing the same thing, man. Everybody's doing the same thing. Everyone's just putting up a posting on Indeed. And that's 99% of companies. They're very one dimensional. They say, oh, you know what? If it's a company that has put in a little bit of an effort, they may get a booth at a job fair. They may, put something up on LinkedIn, or they might advertise a little bit. But generally speaking, let's talk about like the whole 99% of people or companies, they're just putting something on Indeed. And then what that happens is Indeed is so saturated. There's so much competition on Indeed that your posting doesn't go a long way because everyone's doing it. It's kind of like if you're going to go to a grocery store, if everybody's going to the same one, well, now there's a big lineup, right?
Right, for sure.
So 90 for all our customers that we ever meet, we get them off of that one-dimensional path of just Indeed, right? That just by adding one or two extra strategies on top of that differentiates completely. Now, even in the game of Indeed, if everybody is going there, then how do you get to the front of the line? If there's 1,000 people lined up to go to the same store, how do you get to the front? How do you get that VIP pass to get to the front, or the fast pass? Like when you go to Wonderland and you got to buy the fast pass to get in front. Indeed has algorithms and has just like a Google search. It's just like SEO now. It's Indeed is the Google for jobs.
For jobs.
So
Okay.
people they think it's just put up a posting and it'll work, or spend more money on it and it'll work. And we have strategies to even enhance an Indeed profile to get a posting to, for free, be able to outperform someone who's spending $1,000 on it. And that's just knowledge that a recruiter or an HR person has to spend. Now, the problem then comes, how does the owner of a business running, 20 employees and running a landscaping crew, who you think they honestly have the time to learn how to use Indeed? No, they don't. And that's where the help comes. But that's the problem, though, is everyone's doing the same thing over and over. It's the same strategy, and it's creating a big lineup online.
So what is it you guys do that's different than everybody else?
So when it comes down to specifically Indeed itself, sometimes it's just the title of a position that could change things. Sometimes it's having the actual job description, having a format with simple bullet points that make it perform better. Sometimes it's if a posting is up for 30 days, now it's too old. It's deleting it and then reposting it and having come back, just really like hyper focusing on the position. Sometimes it's concentrating that posting instead of it being open for everyone to see. We hone in on a certain area or a certain zip code or region, right? It just depends on the position, but really there is strategy all the time. And really there's at the fundamentals of everything. It all comes down to, if we're looking for certain talent, there's one question that we need answered before we start looking for them is, where are they right now? So if you're hiring for someone for this podcast and you're like, who's our ideal person? And you define the ideal person, the next question is, well, where are they? A lot of companies, they don't ask, well, where are they? Because they just put it out. They say, oh, this is what we need. Okay, let's put it out there.
And they just assume people are going to see it.
Yes, but it's okay, good. You've identified who you want, but ask yourself the question, where are they? Are they someone who will be applying for a job, or do they have a steady job and the ideal person isn't going to be on Indeed? Then why are you putting up a job posting if you know the ideal person needs to be headhunted, for example, or needs to be approached? Or, it depends. It just, is if you're looking for someone in the trades and your ideal person is somebody who may not be necessarily, there's a lot of people in a lot of professions. My dad is one of them. I have friends that are one of them where they're never on a computer. They don't have Facebook. They don't have Instagram. How do you attract someone who's a little bit more old school and doesn't use social media or doesn't go on Indeed?
So let's say that their people are doing what you say. They're hiring a company like yours, or they're doing what you say, and they're defining their searches, and they're putting it out there, and they find that employee, somebody responds to the ad.
Yep.
Now the question becomes, what is it that the companies are need to do at this point in time, and the big question that I keep running into, because I run a consulting business myself, for small business, and the big question that I keep getting from people is, how do I keep people?
Yeah.
A lot of it is culture, setting up a culture that people want to be in. So once somebody has put out that and found their employee, how do they retain them?
You're going to be surprised. I would say a good percentage of fixing retention happens in the interview process.
Really?
Yes. Most companies, they get a resume, they interview a person once, they make them hear what they want to hear, or the job seeker makes the employer hear what they want to hear. And it's a quick interview. And then here you start on Monday. And then when they actually start working together, then they start uncovering all these problems of why they shouldn't be working together.
Okay, that makes sense.
I am a huge advocate for pre-screening and interview processes. So when we work with a company, if we ever employed someone, when we actually get someone a job, they would have gone through at least 3 interviews. That's a pre-screening call with someone on my team. Then we would schedule them for an interview, a pre-screening full interview with someone on my team. Then they have to meet the company. And when we send them into the company, they're going to be meeting the hiring manager. That's a 3rd interview. And maybe that company will have a 2nd round interview as well for that person. So there'll be 4 interviews that happens, even if it's for like a general labor position. It doesn't have to be for anything fancy or exciting with a big salary. Like, for all of that. Now, that alone will weed out all the people that aren't serious.
Okay.
We'll weed out all the people that, not weed out all the people. It will give information to the job seeker on what exactly they're signing up for. You've spoken to 4 people now. By that point, you will know exactly what you're signing up for. Most people will quit their job after a week simply because they weren't told A, B, C, D during an interview. So if we could at least fix that, and that's in our control, I know that will eliminate anyone who will having, a really strong pre-screening process will eliminate anybody from signing up to the wrong thing. And that's both parties. That's the employer and that's the job seeker. The employer met the person enough times to know that they're the right person, and the job seeker met the employer enough times to know that that's a career they want to pursue.
So what's the ghosting thing? There's a friend of mine who runs a restaurant. Yep. And she does all the right things and puts out the notifications, and she gets the people. They do this, the screening and the whole bit. But then when it comes down to the interview, they just
They
don't
don't show up.
show up.
There's a lot of that. Yeah.
They just
Three out
I
of
don't
10
understand
people.
that.
3 out of 10 people will show up. 3 out of 10 will
So the
show
other
up.
7 people just ghost them.
Yep.
I
And
mean,
and that is, the sooner we accept that that's just unfortunately, this is where I'm going to talk a little poorly on the culture in our environment. It's a very disrespectful thing people do. So the sooner you accept that people just do it, move on from it. We're looking for the 3 that do show up. Get over it. They're not going to show up. It's just is. I don't know what culture we instill
It's just
in
part
people.
of the business of doing it.
It's part of the
Like,
business. It's the cost of doing business at the end of the day. And it's unfortunate because I think it's very disrespectful when people do that. I think whatever culture we've instilled in this area.
Yeah, I've never, I'm an old guy, and I have, up until the last, I'd say 5 years, I have never seen, I mean, there are people who didn't show up for interviews and so forth,
Please
but
call
not,
and say something, right?
but not in the number that they're doing it now.
Yes, I think COVID for a fact had something to do with it because the government was handing out so much money, but only to people that proved that they were trying to get a job. So they'll apply, they'll get it in their schedule that they had an interview, and then they just don't go to it. And then they'll just tell the government, hey, I wasn't getting a job. I didn't get the job, but give me money. That was definitely what was happening during COVID. We saw a huge spike one day because of that during COVID. We're like, what the heck is going on? How come we have all these no-shows? And we found out that. But now that's in the past. But that would have had some effect on anything lower than $20 an hour. That's where I see this. At that $15 to $20 an hour, maybe 22. That's where I see the no-shows. Anything above that, they do always show up. There is definitely a blue collar, white collar versus sign in between.
So is it a cost of living thing now? I mean, as we all know, the prices of everything have quadrupled, and people are looking for the bigger money. Is it just, I guess my mindset is if I'm going to put in for the job, I must be interested in it. Why am I not showing up?
Their volume applying. People are just going apply. So
quick, easy apply that you can do on LinkedIn and Indeed or whatever. Everyone's just doing it.
Everyone's just doing it.
Just hitting the button.
Yes. And you know what? That's just part of the game. And that's something that we can't fix that. That's too late. That we're always going to be having it. And that's where, at the end of the day, that's where companies are getting fed up. They're like, why am I dealing with this no-show? And that's where when they meet me, that I tell them, hey, if you want to stop dealing with it, I'll take care of it. Like our business deals with that every day. That's what we're getting paid to do, is to weed out the 7 that aren't going to show up, and the 3 that do show up, we want to make sure they're the right ones. And let's find 1 out of the 3 that does, right? For the average position, we pre-screen 150 people. For the average position, we have to get through 150 people to find the right one. That's what it takes.
And on average, how long does that one person actually last? I know that there's a friend of mine from Costco said that out of every 10 people that they get, they keep 1. And if the one stays longer than 6 months, they'll keep them for a period of time. Yeah. But they usually, on a good number of them, they'll lose that 1 within 6 months. And then they're back to hiring again.
It would be a lot more powerful, a lot more credible if my customers answered that question, and a lot more believable. But I'll answer it for you. For us, we see a very low didn't work out rate because how much work we put to make sure this person's fantastic. So again, they had up to 4 interviews before we decided. Then if we do decide they're the right person, we give them, we have a 30-day probation period where every week we're talking to both the employer and the employee saying, how's everything going? Is everything under control? Is this the right place for you? So that first month is really that evaluation of that person, that we have beaten this dead horse to death, that we made sure that we put the right person in front of the right company. Now, advice I could give to someone who is interviewing, and I find people, they do this a lot, and it's what's messing up their pre-screening, is they're not being open, and employers are not being open to share what's the problem they have in their company and why they are hiring. Like point blank, you should tell someone who you're interviewing, the reason why we're hiring for this position is because we have problem A, B, C, D, and we're hoping you'd be a solution. Will you be that solution? Right? Usually companies, they feel like if they talk about it, it's a very,
they're showing their weaknesses.
It's too much, where it's, you know what, sometimes being vulnerable, both parties are vulnerable and be open and honest and share the problems that you have. And you'll find that the candidate will openly share their problems that they have, saying, well, you know what, I hate my job because I got to drive 45 minutes and I'd rather it be 15 or whatever it is.
Right.
Or, just being comfortable, right?
And on that too, I mean, if I'm an employee and I know that you're looking for somebody, you have this particular problem, and you're hiring me to help fix this particular problem, I now know that I'm actually valued.
Yes.
Right? You're bringing me in to help, solve part of the problem that you've got. So I'm already valued, and I think value is a big issue nowadays.
Sure.
I hear this from a lot of people, that my employer doesn't value my work, or I just don't feel valuable at my job. I think a lot of people, the mindset has changed, and the money is great. Of course, everybody wants to make a good living. Everything's expensive, but I think people want to be appreciated. They want to be valued. They want that. The old saying is that you do 9 things right, and nobody says anything, but you do one thing wrong and everybody's pointing it out. It's that other 9 where people need to hear, hey, yeah, great job. We
Well, I
really
think
appreciate
that
what
speaks
you're
to a
doing.
leadership problem that's happening in a lot of businesses right now, right? That leaders aren't remembering like those 2 words that really matter, and like thank you, and how important that is.
100%.
Appreciate your people.
Well, because before it used to be easy. You just, if the employee didn't like it, or didn't want them, you got rid of them and you got somebody else. But it's not so easy anymore.
No.
Now, somebody mentioned to me, and I want to get your take on this. There was a lot of younger individuals, and I won't say what age range, because it varies, that are doing a lot more online. They're going, I don't want a 9 to 5 job. I don't want to do this. I want to sell things online. I want to be, I mean, I'm not saying being, an Instagram influencer or anything, but I want to sell things online. I want to do drop shipping. I want to start my own business online. Is this having a large effect on the employment area?
It has.
Or is that just a small portion of it?
You know what? Like we deal with positions all across the board, across Canada and the US. I wouldn't say there's enough people. There's enough people out there. Okay. Like, you got 300 million in the US and you got 30 million, 40 million over here. Right. I think it's just, there's a shift in interest, but there's always people out there. Yes, it's made it harder because you have to go through a lot more people, but I would say if there is an impact, there's an impact on labor positions right now, especially being here in Windsor. Skilled trades, in my opinion, is one of the toughest to fill for, simply because there's not enough. Like the amount of customers I have that say I have an aging team. Like my concrete guy is 55 years old. He's going to retire in the next 3 years. Like it's
right.
There's a lot of that going on, and I think it's getting fixed. I think there's a big push going towards the college. I recruit more out of the college than I do out of the university.
Sure.
I spend a lot more time at the college. Oh my God. I don't even think in this year we employed anybody coming out of the university. It was always directly out of the college. But that's because it's Windsor.
Practical.
A lot of skilled trades in Windsor, between the construction industry and the manufacturing industry.
And that's just going to explode when the rest of this work in this area starts, really getting involved.
There's a massive opportunity, and the advantage that a larger company has, and they don't do it at all. And I think the only one that has done it very well is Mr. Barry Zuckelman himself, by creating the Zuckelman School of Business and really sponsoring that college. It's because that guy's brilliant. He's getting candidates fresh. He's building programs to create talent for his business. Like that's next level, but a smaller business should be sponsoring the college. If you're a cabinet shop, if you're a mold shop, you should be sending your staff to go teach a program at the college once a week, doing things like that, getting involved. Like you and I
find them right out of there.
Yeah. Take a manager and say, hey, listen, 4 hours out of the week, you're going to be teaching a program at the college, and your best students, bring them in.
Sure.
Right. I think that's an angle that some businesses could afford to do it, and they don't do it.
That would answer a lot of questions for some businesses.
Oh yeah. And hey, you know what? The nice part is the college pays for it. So it's not like, it's not a waste of money, but it's thinking outside of the box. Again, getting out of the one dimensional of let's just put up a posting like everybody else, right? You know, for a business that, you know, has 100 employees, local small business, tool shop or construction or whatever, they should have either their owner or senior vice president or whoever it is, head of HR, go teach a course on construction or concrete or cabinetry or whatever it is. And that's a pool of people.
Go to where the sources are.
Right, right to the point. Again, back to the answer of where are the people that I need?
Right.
So I think here in Windsor, for the amount of skilled trades that we have, companies should be volunteering people and going to the college and teaching courses there. And if courses don't exist there, working with a college to create courses for certain trades. You've done a great job answering some of my questions, but I think Chris has a few that he'd like to throw at you.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a few questions at you here. Let's do it rapid fire style. So I'm going to ask a number of questions. First thing that comes in your head. Some of these are going to be one-word answers, and we'll just keep moving on. Ready? Sure. So what's one word that defines success for you?
Waking up and not dreading your day.
Are you considering yourself a morning or a night person?
I'm a night person.
What's one word that describes your style of how you help clients at CPG Recruitment?
Methodical.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Extrovert.
What's one habit that you swear by?
Taking care of my health.
If you could have a dream vacation destination, where is that?
Let's go to Dubai.
Are you an ebook person or a physical book person?
Ebook.
What's your favorite way to relax?
Going on the boat. Chilling out.
What's one thing that you can't live without?
One thing I can't live without. I think it's anything related with exercise and health.
What's the better tool for job seekers, Indeed or LinkedIn?
Depends. If it's lower level, Indeed. Higher level, headhunting, LinkedIn.
What's one thing that you would tell your younger self?
Relax, slow down, and don't listen to too many people.
There you go. So you went through those questions really fast, by the way. That was really good. That was on point. I got a follow-up question here because I'm always curious about origin stories. What got you into this business? Like how'd that start?
How much time do I have left? And you'll decide what parts I should.
You got a couple of minutes.
I got a couple minutes. Okay, so grew up in Mississauga, Ryerson University, mechanical engineering, Windsor Assembly Plant, where they build the minivan. Hired me as an engineer out of school. Ended up in Windsor, 3 years working there. Realized I had the itch of the amount of work that I want to put in. I wasn't getting the reward for it. And I guess I was traumatized by big corporations to say, you know, I want to take a chance on myself. Started a detailing business, mobile detailing business that attracted higher level people. That 70% of my customers were white male business owners. And as I was learning, because I was on the hunt for what industry I want to get into, I'd learned from them what they did for a living. And I'd learned from them what were the biggest obstacles in their business. Almost everyone told me people is their biggest obstacle in their business. So then I'm like, gosh, if I get into the people game and I figure out a solution for it, I'll never run out of work, because any business in any industry, in any city, in any country needs staff. And went down that rabbit hole and figured out a way of doing things that's a little different than the traditional, and took a swing at it. And here we are 4 years later with 7 locations in Canada and the US.
Awesome, man.
Fantastic. Now, here's a real quick question, because we don't have a lot of time left. AI, how is that going to affect the job market?
Not at all. We need people. AI will help people be more efficient and be able to, AI will increase productivity. AI will increase productivity, but will not eliminate people in this moment in time.
Now, I also have a recruiting business, and so I'm seeing that from an AI perspective. The quality of resumes have started to improve as a result of ChatGPT. I think that's one thing I've noticed.
All the more reason. The resume doesn't mean anything. I never look at a resume. I hate looking at it. And my customers drive me crazy when they look at it. When I send them a resume, it's out of a formality that when you're sitting with the person, you then look at the resume. I'm not sending it to you to make a decision on it. Hey, right? So they drive me crazy where it's like, oh, I don't like the resume. It's like, well, I don't like it either, but I talked to the person and they're awesome. So you have to meet them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The element of talking to a human being, meeting with them, shaking their hand, the element of touch, smell, feel, taste, all that stuff, whatever it is, you have to do it with people. Right. And that will never be eliminated.
So true.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think you have shared with us some really valuable insights today, and we appreciate your time. I know that the job market is a never ending, ever changing type of thing. So I'm sure we'll be talking again on other topics, because I mean, there's so many different things going on nowadays. I know that we talk to business owners and interview people all the time about what they're looking for, what their needs are. We've only scratched the surface on that today. So I look forward to our future conversations.
I look forward to it as well. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Christian. Appreciate it.
Thank you.